That stuff matters, carved in stone. Every stitch and every tone. Living, loving, grinding through all the nerdy things we do.
Brookfield's best, we got it all. From the sunrise woods to the lake's last call. Live bait wriggles, tackle that shines. Outdoors is out, your gear's divine. Hooked on hunting, we've got the gear for the hunter's heart and the angler's cheer. Hooked on hunting, come take a look. Your next big catch starts in Brookfield's Nook. Camo dreams and fishing lines, deer stands.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to That Stuff Matters, your small town grit, big time conversations podcast, and someone that I've spent a lot of time with in the community over the last few decades is our guest today, Mr. Shawn Sayre. Shawn, thank you for coming on
You
today.
bet. Thanks for having me.
I was talking with Ian, and I think indirectly you've been a part of more fundraisers and raising money for things maybe than anyone. And I can't even begin to think maybe how much money you've helped raise over the years through the unique and fun auctioneering service that you
We've
have.
raised a few dollars between Dad and I. We've done about every organization there has to do. You know, it's kind of a fun thing, but yet it's an important thing for our community. You know, the way they come together. It's been an experience. I started at a young age being an auctioneer. Dad's been in the business for a long time. You know, so it's just been one of those things that when people need us, we're there. You know.
And that's kind of where we wanted to start was if we go back to the beginning, when was the first time you thought I'm going to be an auctioneer? Was it, watching the family or what
Watching
was it?
Dad. Yeah, when I was 12, 13.
Yeah.
You know, because I went to school at 15. So, I started at 15 years old.
Whoa.
So,
When did Sayre Auction begin?
1978.
1978.
I was 3.
I wasn't born.
Yeah, I was 3.
Yeah.
I would have been -4.
Yeah.
So, that's just a gift to me, the auctioneering thing. So, when you went to school for it, did they teach you? Because I don't know anything about it. Did they teach you how to
Sure.
roll that?
They teach you how to talk, how to breathe mainly. They teach, because breathing is very important in auctioning, because you've got to be able to breathe to auction. And then they teach you chants and how to use your tongue and things like that. But I just pick up my own chant. I changed it whenever I got out, 'cause I did kind of what Dad did, so just kind of my own chant. They basically teach you how to breathe and how to talk and how to count backwards and how to count forwards and things like that.
Because every auctioneer seems to have their own style.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all do. A lot of people have a lot of filler words, people can't understand them, but we try to be clear and get numbers more than filler words, for what we do.
Well, I think the most amazing thing that you guys do that it's always, your dad did it too, and I think you've perfected it, is not only are you auctioneering, but it's almost like watching a stand-up comic.
This.
Yeah, it's I kind of throw the Dad did a little bit, but I kind of got my calling card there doing that to, who you can pick on, who you can, razz a little bit, but it's just something you keep the flow going, you keep them for what we do. You're there for a situation, either for a family that needs the money or somebody that needs help. And you got to keep things fun. You got to keep things exciting to keep their mind off of what we're really here for.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part. You can kind of you can heckle people a little bit. That's kind of fun.
Well, and when I say you've helped raise money for a lot of, more than most for sure, is because of that style and that flair.
Right.
And the way you do it, has helped families in need,
Sure.
people in need, organizations. So Are there certain events that are harder to add that comedic presence, or?
Yeah, there are, like a farm sale or something like that. You kind of want to be serious and not joke around, but you can still do the same thing. I mean, Ian's seen me do it for years at farm sales and things like that. cattle sales that we do, you can still do it there too. It's just the seriousness of an auctioneer is sometimes they're a little too serious. You know, you need to relax and have fun. I mean, that's what it's about. You know, we are professional auctioneers, but we got to throw that flair in there with, hey, you know, he's kind of funny to listen to, you know,
Right.
kind of like that. But it's a business it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of fun at the same time, you know, and that's why we try to make it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
The amazing thing I like about auctions, I'm kind of an auction guy. I kind of like them a lot. I got to kind of stay away from them because the money kind of goes. I kind of see a lot of stuff I like. But, you know, it must be, I know because of my stepfather, you know, and being in an auction ring, you know, he's, you know, buying cattle all the time. I went with him for years and I saw that end of it. But the farm auction, the sales that you guys do is pretty incredible. Because not only are you up there doing that comedic thing, but you're kind of, it's almost like you're in a 3-ring circus and you're the guy in the middle, you know, directing the whole thing, you know, and I've seen you not only be funny, but I've seen you have to direct people too, you know, and say, hey,
Yeah.
this is where we're going.
You got to kind of get serious sometimes. You can't let the crowd walk all over. You got to be the leader of the auction, you know, because it's people can try to control you. You know, they want to try to get as cheap as they can, but then again, you're there for the seller as well. You know, you try to help them both, but yeah, sometimes you got to be stern about what you're doing and what you're selling and how you're approaching people with stuff. You know, because a lot of people try to say, well, this thing's not very good or things like that. But you know, it's interesting to watch some people that come in and think they know more than you do. There's always somebody that knows more than you do, and I'm not the smartest man in the world, but when it comes to auctions, I do my background and kind of know what I'm selling when I do sell it, so I'm not, you know, caught off guard by people that will say something, you know, and you know, I will make mistakes, you know, we're not perfect, but you know, it's just part of the business to make the flow work for everybody, you know, so.
Well, I've seen on multiple occasions, I've thought, how is it that they're pricing all of this stuff? And I've seen your dad running around and you running around, you know, and trying to get an idea. And I know you guys take phone calls like crazy, just like I asked you about that generator a second ago. You know, I didn't even know what a PTO generator was till the other day, until you had it on your flyer. Right. And I had to ask somebody, you know, the research, is it the whole family doing the research, or just experience, or?
Well, Ian, after 47 years, you kind of get to know stuff. You know, people, I always say Dad's the smartest man in the world because he knows everything. You know, you ask him what this is and he knows it. So as a kid growing up, you know what a 2-horse evener is, or you know what a 2-bottom plow is. You know, a lot of people don't even know what that is. But as far as growing up that way, you learn, you know, we've sold a lot of stuff. We've sold everything from exotic animals to farm equipment to real estate to about anything there is to sell. You know, so over the years, you learn kind of what you're selling, the prices, what things are bringing. In today's world, the prices are a little different now, you know, compared to what they were 25 years ago. But it's experience from learning from what your parents teach you, you know.
When did he start in the business?
He started getting the itch in 78 when we started having our longhorn sales, our cattle sales. And then him and his buddy went to auctioneer school in Billings, Montana. And then when he got out, he started auctioning. Leroy Van Dyke actually sold our first longhorn sale.
Okay.
At the farm, and then Dad did the next one after that. So that's how we kind of got started with the longhorn industry, is doing sales.
Yeah, so tell me about that, because you got Sayre Auction, but you've also got the longest running longhorn sale in the nation.
Yes.
And that's the BNC?
Yeah, BNC Show Me Longhorn Sale.
Now, is that somewhere located different, like every year? You move it around?
Well, we did for years. We had it at Brookfield for years. We moved it to other places, but now we're in New Cambria, over there in New Cambria. So we got it closer to home, and we have our get together here at the Helm Street.
The Calcutta's at the legendary Helm Street.
Legendary Helm Street. Talked to Mick yesterday, and we've got several people coming this year from Virginia, Texas, all over. And I told Mick it's going to be pretty big, and he says, well, if you want to move it somewhere bigger, that's fine. I said, Mick, it's been this way for 40 years. We're not going to change it. You know, if it's not broken, why change it? You know, there's no need to fix it. So, yeah, it's a thing that Dad has been doing. Started, he retired. Alice and I took it over, my wife, and so it's a family business. Always has been, always will be. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about a team, him and Allison.
Yeah.
In the when the auction's going on, it's pretty amazing to see the interaction. You know,
Yeah, she.
I mean, you got to use the same lines every once in a while. I've caught you.
You do, you do, you do. You know, it's kind of hard to come up with new lines, especially my age. You know, but she does keep me on my toes, and we work good together. You know, she's the backbone.
Yeah.
So,
So she's the one keeping the book and the record of the sale.
Yeah.
That's tough.
she just keeps everything going.
Yeah.
You know,
How many auctions would you say you do a year, on average?
oh, we'll do 20, 25, 30 a year.
Yeah.
You know, we're a company that we like to do the auctions, but we also like to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
You know, we like to go on trips. You know, we like to have fun. Life's too short not to have fun. You know, it's we do as many as we can. You know, we travel all over the United States doing auctions, but we do, I'd say, an average 20 a year. You know, spring and fall is the busiest. In the summer, we don't do too much because so many fairs and stuff going on. It's so hot that people don't really want to come out to an auction and stand and sweat for hours. And so in July, August, we kind of take that off. You know.
Now it would seem to me, and you know, you'll have the actual information on this, but it would seem to me over the last 10 years in real estate and a few other things, auctioneering, the auctions have actually increased. Am I right about that?
Yes, they have.
Or are you just
Yeah.
am I just seeing it?
No,
more?
they have increased. The prices have gotten, you know, I wouldn't say crazy, but a lot higher than what they have been. But the last 10 years, people tend to get auction companies to come in and do their sales because it's a one and done. You know, you don't have to list it. You don't have to do anything. Of course, Allison, she's a realtor, but it's just it's a process where you come in, you set things up, you sell it, and you're done. The family's done. They don't have to worry about it. Everything's gone. You know, so it's changed over the years. Yes, you know, it's pretty interesting the way things have changed as far as prices. You know, because used machinery's it's nuts right now because you can't get any new. You know, so that's the thing. The key to that is, you know, if you can't get a new tractor, you're going to pay top dollar for a used tractor. You know, so it's crazy.
What, just in general, what's like the most challenging part of being up there? I know you're so used to it. You've done it forever, but in your opinion, what's the most challenging part of it?
Most challenging, I would say, is the setup, the getting ready to make sure you do it right for the families. You know, for a consignment sale, it's us. For an estate sale, it's for the family you're working for. You know, to make everything right for them to get the most money they can get. You know, it's I wouldn't say it's challenging. It's just it's a process to do it right. Your advertising, you know, setting your signs in the yard. You know, the things we do to prep for a sale. Everybody thinks it's easy. You come in, you set it up, and you go. You know, but we spend several man hours getting the sale ready.
Yeah.
To have a sale, to carry it out. You know.
How does that work? Someone calls you, they need to have a sale. Do you have to, you go over there, you look through everything they got, you start to put a plan together in your mind, like getting, like where that sale is going to be, getting all that stuff there.
Yeah, I go in and get a format of kind of what would work best for the customer. I go in, I take pictures, I list it, I advertise it. We put it on our website, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a process because we take pictures, we put that on our website, and then we make sale bills, put those out. Then we go in and get things boxed up, get it all ready.
And that whole time, is that when you're starting to think about like what some of that stuff's worth? I mean,
yeah, when we first go in, we kind of give the family an idea kind of what they have as far as dollars is in the household stuff, cars, trucks, land. You know, it's crazy. The last 5 years has been really, really nuts because you get an appraisal done on a piece of property. and then that piece of property brings $2,000 to $3,000 more than what the appraisal is. So it's a give and take on why do I appraise a house or why do I do this. Just at the last bid, you know what you're going to get. And machinery's the same way. As far as the dollar amount, I can give you a guess, but I can't give you an exact amount for what this world's coming to as far as dollars as what things are worth. Because we've been doing this for 47 years. We still don't know.
Yeah.
And the buyer doesn't know either. It's just what they're willing to give at the auction. They got $1 in their brain. Do they give a little more than they wanted to? Absolutely. So that's the fun thing about an auction is you're thinking this tractor is going to bring 12,000 and it brings 20,000.
Yeah, because you never know who's in need of that item.
You don't know. We're selling a 4240 this Saturday at Union Star, and it'll break the bank. It'll be one of the highest selling tractors in the state.
Wow.
It's like new. So
It's all about managing expectation, huh?
yep, exactly.
I mean, because I know, from, just being around auctions with my stepdad, I know those guys go out, they look at the cattle, they kind of give the guy a roundabout. We think it's going to bring this in the ring. And then when they get up there and those cattle come in, it is a battle from that to get that number, to manage that expectation. It's a battle for those guys up there that have went in and looked at that stuff. And it must be the same for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You tell them what you think it'll bring. And like I tell everybody, some things will bring more than you expect and some things will bring less than you expect. And those things that you think will bring more won't reach that plateau. And they're like, well, why didn't that bring anymore? Well, it's only what two people would give for it. And that's the interesting part about an auction.
That's got to be tough. Like, is that a conversation you have with somebody before you go into
Absolutely.
it? Like, hey, this is what we think. If it comes in way under,
Absolutely.
That's not your fault.
Furniture's the big thing because you can go to Nebraska Furniture Mart and get furniture for 0% interest delivered to your house. So why would you want to go to an auction and buy that when you can get it for free? And that's the thing that's taking the biggest hit is furniture at an auction per se, because you're not going to want to buy a used couch from a person that you don't know. And if you know them, then it's a different story. But that's probably the biggest hit is furniture in an auction, just for that simple reason, because you can get it somewhere else cheaper. It's about a payment. Mm-hmm. In our world, it's about a payment now. It's not what it costs. It's about what's my payment going to be a month. Cars, houses, there's very few rental houses in Brookfield right now because those people that can go out and spend $800-900 on rent, that's what they care about is what's this going to cost me.
and everything's switching to that like monthly payment option. Like even like down to like software we use here in the shop, stuff I use for this podcast. Like it's a monthly thing because they want that residual income all the time, and I know that there's a lot of thought that goes into that, like offering services into that monthly fee. But sometimes I think we just keep getting into these monthly, negotiations for whatever product we want, and then we look back and we go, "Oh shit, I've got too many things on my plate."
Well, yeah, and that's just what kids can afford, because cost of living. We haven't got a cost of living raise for how many years, but gas, eggs, what you're buying at the store, and you're taking these families that got 3 or 4 kids. It's a struggle for them.
Yeah.
It's back in when I was growing up. The father worked, the mother stayed at home, took care of the kids and the house and the family and everything else. Now you've got to have 2 incomes. Some people have 2 or 3 jobs, to make it work. So it's easy to see it, but it's not easy to do it when you have to do it for your family.
Yeah.
Because I watch kids scrape by. They need that piece of furniture. They need that, but can we afford it? Because it's not, if we was a lending institute, we'd be very wealthy because we could loan them the money, and if they didn't pay it, then we got the product back and we'd sell it again. So we try to help people out as much as we can, but it's just hard in today's world.
Well, I think that's what makes, to me, that's what makes auctions so cool and so fun is the fact that I can go online and I like antiques. Sure. If I'm at your auction, it's because you got some glass, some crockery, you got something like that Ian wants to get his hands on. and Linda's already called me and let me know it's there, and,
Oh,
and so I show up. But I can go there. I can put my hands on it. I can look at it. I can look it over. Determine what I'll pay for it. It's different. When you're looking online and I'm scrolling, I could find that same stuff online.
Yep.
Sure.
I could scroll down and find that and search it and find it online, but I can't put my hands on it. Yeah. And I could take it home that day. I could pay Shawn, who's going to take care of the people who owned it, and then just take it home with me. And that's what I love about it.
And part of the the cool part of the process to me is the hunt, like going on a hunt for something and being able to search through whatever's at that auction and like you said, touch it and see it and feel it.
Yeah, and online auctions they become, COVID got them really started and really going hot and heavy because nobody could go to the auctions and stuff. And a lot of companies do online. We do some online, not a lot, because just for that fact, Ian, is we want people there to see it, to touch it, because there are pictures that we put out there. You can't get it all on a picture. Mm-hmm. You can't see the everything about it. And that's the thing about our online company that we use, is we can take the camera off the tripod and take and show the tractor, the car underneath, things like that. And you want people at your auction, because the husband and wife come. The husband's coming after tractor, the wife's coming. She doesn't want anything. Then she sees dishes or something like that, and then so you've kind of got a bonus there with her buying here and the husband buying there. But the online auction, it's a process to pay, to get your payment, delivery. When they gonna pick it up, And I'm not knocking online auctions, because they're a thing of the future. Mm-hmm. But it's just like you said, you want to see it, you want to touch it. If there's a crack in it, if there's something in there, you want to see it. And I can guarantee to what I know from what the family's told me, but we don't guarantee anything as far as that goes, because we don't want to be that person that it was our fault that it wasn't right. Yeah. So that's why we try to do more live auctions on site than we do online.
It must be why I've seen your watch go off about 100 times a day, because somebody's probably calling you, asking you the same thing I just asked you about that generator or that tractor. And I know you take a lot of calls like that. And if you have something on your sale bill that I'm looking at, I'm probably going to call Shawn and say, how much you think that's going to sell for, and also with that Rolodex, when I do go to your auctions, I see a lot of the same faces.
Sure.
Hey, you guys got a heck of a Rolodex of people that follow you around.
We have a following. There's certain people that buy certain things, coins, guns, equipment,
coins.
Things like that. Coins are just nuts, but it's the fun of watching people, because I'm setting up in the auction block and I'm sitting here watching two guys bid against one another, and you're thinking, when are they going to quit, or what are they going to do, because he wants it and he wants it, and you're like, well, here we go. The fight's on. And that's a great thing about an auction, is it's a fun event. It's a lot of work, but it's fun when you're done and you see what's happened, and you're like, that was a good auction, or hey, we could have done better, or what could have we done to make it better. But it's interesting to watch people think they can buy it for X amount of dollars. Then they've got to give this for it. Yeah. They're like, man, could have bought a new one for that.
Do you have a memory of our most memorable back and forth battle that you've seen over the years that went way longer than you thought?
The worst is the family members. When they don't get along, or there's I should have got that, or I should have got this, is you watch them buy things that it's worth $3 and it brings $300. And it's one of those things where the family's like, I'm supposed to get that.
Yeah.
The brother says, no, I'm supposed to get that. So then they call us and we have an auction, and then you sit and watch them battle it out. That's
tough.
It is tough. And that's the things we deal with every weekend is families call us and say, hey, we want to settle this estate because my brother doesn't want me to have this, or I don't want him to have that. So they call us and they say, hey, we want to auction it. So here we are. And then you see that, and it is sad, but then again, it settles the estate the fairest way, because if you want that crock, Ian wants that crock, you're going to pay for it. We're going to see who's got the most money, or who wants it the best, So it's interesting, but it's also sad, because I want you to get as cheap as you can, and I want to help you out at the same time. And sometimes it doesn't happen that way. The rarest thing we had, I wouldn't say the rarest, the worst thing we had was two brothers in Milan. It was over a gun. They hadn't talked to each other in 20-some years over one gun. And one brother bought it, gave way more than it was worth. The other brother went over there and gave it to him and said, I just want to make things up. And they did. And talked to 20 years.
Wow.
One gun brought them together. After everything it took one auction and one gun to bring them together. Look at the time they lost. And that's the sad part. Now the fun part about it is you're getting that piece because it was supposed to have been mine, and you got it. So that's the interesting part about an auction.
It's a gamut of emotions
But
at
it's
an
not.
auction.
It's not all fun and games. I mean,
No.
everybody thinks it's, like I said before. Everybody thinks it's an easy process, but you take everybody that works for our auction company, how many man hours it puts to get it ready. Mm-hmm. We had an auction in Buckland, and this lady had everything listed, names in every jar, every glass, every quilt, everything. Then again, two brothers couldn't get along, and so then public administrator come in and says, hey, we're going to have an auction, and it's the biggest cry fest you ever seen. And it was sad for us. My wife was even crying, and you sit there and you watch that and you're thinking, why does it come down to this? And that's when I step in and I say, hey, look, here's what we're going to do. That's when I try to get that comedian part in me to get the memento up and let people understand, hey, it's okay. There's going to be more quilts to sell. So that's the part where I've got to step in and tell people. I don't really want to tell them, just suggest. Hey, it'll be okay. So.
On the opposite side of that, because those are some hard days. The opposite side of that is all the community stuff that you do, where it's probably much more fun. Like you do something for Sev,
Right.
or a big organization. Is there a memory there of like maybe a fundraiser you did where something just sold for a wild price just because someone was, wanted to donate?
Oh, boy.
Well, the funniest thing, one was the pink out game that we do for Sev. We was in Marceline, and it was the JV game, and it was the Doherty family, husband and wife. They weren't sitting by one another on this ball. We sell the softballs for the game. He was over here talking, and she was sitting in front of me, and I just had a little fun with them. And and that's the part that I like, because I know that he's not going to get upset. She's not going to get upset because it's for a good cause. Mm-hmm. And we took it to several $100s, and I didn't say anything till about the end, and I said, Dan, your wife's in. He goes, oh well, and they bought it. But it's things like that people don't get upset because of what it's for or who it's for, and then, like I said, it's awesome that our community that we live in here in Brookfield and the surrounding communities, Lynn County, I should say, the support we get when it comes to something like that, whether it be a cancer benefit or, my house burned or something, we're trying to help people out, the Sev, it's just one of those things. And like the Ducks Unlimited that we used to do, and the turkey banquets and things like that.
Main Street auction.
The Main Street auction, the chamber auction, things like that. We've done that for several years, even back when we did the all-night party auctions, after the senior nights. We did that. I was even in high school doing them.
Really?
And Dad would do a few. Then I started. He said, I'm done, so I would do them. But the events that we do around here, it's all for the community, for the people we're doing it for. And it doesn't matter. I joke around and say, hey, I'll take care of it. You just listen to me and just raise your hand and I'll handle it. Mm-hmm. And it kind of makes things fun. But yeah, there's so many stories I could tell you about, people battling back and forth, whether it be a family member or two buddies.
Right.
It's interesting to watch.
Is it on stuff like that where you're helping raise money? Have you ever left an event and just like really felt like personally excited or rewarding that you did
after
help
every
raise
one
more
of them?
money?
After every one of them.
I was gonna say probably rush of emotions.
You can't. It's it's to feel a satisfaction that, hey, I helped that family out. The community helped that family out, and they're gonna be able to sleep better tonight knowing that they've got some money to help them with whether it's traveling to the hospital or seeing that kid, you know, do the things they want to do. You know, that's a satisfaction doing that. We have never turned anything down ever if we're here.
Yeah.
You know, if we can do it, we'll do it. And if I couldn't do it, Dad could do it. You know, if Dad couldn't do it and I couldn't do it, I got a buddy that works for me. He does it. You know, so that's the thing. There's not a no in our blood, you know, when it comes to things like that, because it's for our community. You know, anything we do, you know, like what Ian does for the community whenever he waters the flowers or he does everything for the Main Street thing. It's what people do for each other that makes us a better place to live, in my opinion, you know.
Well, we're dug in like ticks here in Brookfield.
Yeah, we
I mean,
are.
your family's been around.
I went to college for a couple of years, and you know, I didn't move away. You know, my family was here, my roots were here, and we've had this business, and that's what we've done. You know, we've got other jobs, but this is what we've done for 47 years.
Yeah.
You know,
So, like, to have a business that long is incredible. So, what do you think makes it, like, Sayre Auctions, so, like, long lasting? Is
Family.
It family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and just honesty. If you know, I mean, your dad set something in place a long time ago of treating people right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't know life without your dad. Mm-hmm. You know, he's been around for my whole life, and you know, Bill will tell you exactly what he's thinking. You know, but he's gonna be good about it.
yeah.
He's gonna be fair about it. He's gonna be nice about it. I mean, I'm sure as a young man running around out the country club, not only probably has Shawn had to get on me, but I'm sure Bill has had to get on me a time or two too. But you know, I don't ever remember it being awkward or hateful or anything like that. Just told you exactly how it was going to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's a rare commodity in this world.
You know, our family's done. We've had the farm out there. We had the game farm. My brother ran it. I ran the auction company. You know, but it's been family for, well, ever. You know, I something I wanted to do growing up, you know, was to be an auctioneer. You know, to do what Dad was doing. Mm-hmm. Jeff wanted to do what Dad was doing with the hunting and things like that. You know, so it's all about family. You know, so and the families that you do things for in town appreciate that because they know how it started and what they're going through, you know. So, you know, we've had our ups and downs. So,
Yeah, I mean, since you're talking about family, I take this on back many, many years ago. Like I said, I don't know life without Sayers in my life, you know, or being around. When I was, the first I remember of Shawn was wrestling. When I was a little kid. When the little kids wrestling program first started out, Shawn was probably in junior high, I would say, or right around there. And
I'm a few years older than you.
not much, not much.
A few.
I'm not sure if I might be catching you, but anyway, you know, and back then, you know, Jeff was around, Shawn was around, Shawn wrestled, and Brad Burns, you guys kind of took him under your wing. You did, and made a heck of a wrestler out of Brad. And we watched you guys, and you guys came down and helped Gary a little bit, Heg down in the wrestling room. And now correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think I am because I've heard it. Was there something when you guys were young, you and your brother, did you guys accomplish something? Did you guys do a little team roping or something?
A little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit? Yeah, we team rode. We rodeoed. We was fortunate. We had the farm. We had an indoor arena. We had an outdoor arena. Yeah, we roped. My brother and I did. We was top 10 in the world for several years.
Told you, Nathan.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. So, Mom, we'd get off school bus. So Jeff played football and I played football. But when we got off the school bus, Mom would have the horses saddled and the calves in the pen. And we roped for hours. So yeah, it was fun. It was real fun. You know, it was an event that we did as a family again.
Yeah.
You know, but
So you went all over doing this.
oh yeah, Yeah. World Finals were in Oklahoma. We traveled. We had qualifiers that we had to go to in South Missouri.
At what age would this been for you guys?
I was 8. Jeff was 9. Man, we started. Yeah.
That's little bitty guys on big horses.
And we, of course, we raised our own horses. We had a stud called Mr. High Socks, and we had 100 head of broodmares that we raised horses. And so Jeff and I'd go out and pick out what colt we wanted, and we'd train it, and it was ours. And yeah, we roped till Jeff. So in junior competition, you could rope until you was 17, 18. So then Jeff got old enough. So then I was a year younger than Jeff. So then I didn't rope that year because I didn't have Jeff to rope with. But yeah, there wasn't too many people could beat us.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I can brag about is we were the best in the state of Missouri for 10 years.
Was there like a moment there as a kid you like, oh, we're really good at this?
Yeah.
Shawn's never had trouble with that.
Yeah, I mean, but we were. I mean, but that's what we did.
Right.
I mean, we lived, ate, drank, roping. I'd go to high school rodeos when I was 5, 6 years old with chew in my mouth, and I would rope a footstool, and these high school rodeoers were roping, and they were 8, 9, 10 years older than me, and I'd outrope them. But that's what I did. I mean, I lived with a rope in my hand and a horse underneath me. But that's what we did.
You still got it? I mean, like
I can still rope. I can't ride a horse anymore because I had back surgery when I was in high school, and that's the only thing I can't do anymore is ride a horse. If I could ride a horse, I'd still be roping, absolutely. Yeah, it was just a thing that was just it's you. It's kind of like wrestling. It's not a team. It's you. If you screw up, it's your fault. And if Jeff missed, that was okay. If I missed with Jeff, it was okay. And back then we competed against one another. And it was a battle. See who the best was.
How fun.
Jeff was probably a better header than me. I was a better heeler than Jeff. So it was just one of those things that it was a competition, but yet it wasn't a competition. But when we got to the timed events, Jeff and I would beat Dad and Sonny or Dad and Wayne or people like that. But it was just it's all we did. It's just like the Stewart's boys wrestling. That's all they did. So that's the thing is we loved it and we enjoyed it, and that's what we did every weekend. We was going to a team roping or a rodeo, somewhere in the state. So it was fun. I mean, it was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, I just wished I could still ride.
One of the best in the world.
Me and Jeff were junior. It was AJQHA. It was American Junior Quarter Association. Yeah.
Were you guys always arguing over who was better?
Nope. We knew. We knew who was the best at that time. Like I said, Jeff was a better header than I was. I was a better healer than Jeff was. And that's just we knew that. Because he would head, and the thing about it was I had to head for him and he had to heel for me, and vice versa. And so it was one of those things that, hey, I got you, brother. And we did, so it was fun.
I think
Fun.
I think it's pretty amazing. People don't know probably as much about Jeff as they know about you because you're a little more out front.
Right.
But I had a lot of conversations with Jeff when he owned Beaches. Your dad and him owned it, or whatever was going on there. But what a great guy.
There isn't anything we don't do to not have a good time. Like I said, life's too short. We lost Mom in '98, and she was young. And after that, it was just, we did everything together. It's one of those things that it's family.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Well, and that's what I just keep hearing is like it's a good story of how a family intertwines itself in the community. And as you're doing things that you're passionate about and that you love, you are also benefiting your community that you're in. I mean, just unintentionally.
We like to think that. We like to think that because it's fun for us, and it means something to help somebody. If we can help somebody, we're gonna help somebody. I'll give them the shirt off my back. It's a good thing to have a community that we have here to live in.
Yeah.
We're not in the city, so it's just one of those things that it's kind of.
I think it's one of those things where the broader the base, the foundation, the broader the foundation, the higher the point of freedom, that you get when you come off that base. And that, I think that's what I see out of your all's family. It's an amazing thing. And I'm fortunate to have a family, similar, totally different ways, but
Sure.
that's grounded that way. And so are you, Nathan. I mean, it's that base, that big base that we have that our parents, gave us. It started for us, that
Yeah.
that helped us.
I mean, none of us would be where we're at today if it wasn't for our parents.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do, whether it's auctioning or if it's lawn mowing or if it's running a business or what you're doing. It's the way you was brought up in a community like this. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and it was a little different time back then. But still, you look at what you got here in a community like this. You're like pretty fortunate.
Wow.
Pretty fortunate.
Yeah, I get so mad when people are negative. There was just a picture shared on like you might be from one of those pages. You might be from Brookfield if you remember this or whatever. But it was just an old picture of the block up there before it had the buildings had burned and things like that, and it just immediately turned into negativity about our community and how the main street wasn't packed in the picture. And there are so many good reasons to be in this community.
Oh, absolutely.
Families and I mean, is there work to be done? Sure, but I tell you what, if you sit down and you make your list of positives and negatives, the list of positives is going to be way longer. And it's because of families and, like you said, the upbringing and people that are giving back to the community.
Well, you've got to. I mean, whether it's a sporting event or a family function or anything that needs to be done here, it's based around families that take pride in where they live.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to fight the city traffic. You don't have to fight the city rules. You don't have to do a lot of things that you're fortunate enough to do in this community because of that.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. I mean, I've enjoyed living and growing up here because everybody. Everybody knows you. It's very fortunate to do what we do for a community like this.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to us. To just like coming on here, to visit and talk about what we've done and what the future holds. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. You got, like I said, you got to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen. And that's the way we live it.
If we're talking about like the future, you said that and made me think of this. Like, what kind of trends do you see like coming up with just auctions or the livestock sale or the Longhorn sale?
Well, I see, the future is however the company holds it. The onlines, the people's doing the online auction, the online, I can sell it on eBay for this, or I can do this. Well, if you can sell on eBay for that, why'd you call me?
Mm-hmm.
Sell on eBay. That's fine. I'm not going to get upset about it, but you're going to see a lot more online. You're going to see a lot of the credit card things. A lot of kids don't carry cash. They carry a credit card. They carry a debit card. The future is what it's going to hold. Is who knows? I mean, as far as auctions, there's still going to be auctions. There's, like I said, it's a one and done thing. You don't have to mess with everything. You're always going to have auctions. Is it going to be a little bit different? Yeah, it's probably going to be online. The cattle industry right now is the highest it's been. I don't think we've seen the max yet. And especially in our Longhorn industry, it's still strong. And we're, as long as Alice and I are kicking, we're going to keep having a Longhorn sale. Because it's for the people.
Yeah.
We got a sale coming up at the end of October. We've got 32 consigners. We got 86 head of cattle, and they're coming from everywhere. And it's neat.
And what number sale will that be again? How many years?
48.
48.
This will be
48.
I thought you were getting close to 50.
Yep. 48 years. And in the market, getting back to the future, who knows what the future is going to hold for anybody. It looks good. It's promising, but God only knows what's going to happen in the future. we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and that's the gist of it. Is let's have fun.
Yeah. What makes that Longhorn sale so unique? In your opinion?
Because there's not very many around here. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, you drive by our house, and you see we got a steer down there. It's 112 inches tip to tip. That's huge. He eats out of your hand. It's just Bernie Hicks and I, we're partners on some cattle down there, and people drive by all the time down there looking at our cattle. We used to have deer down there that we raised. We got rid of the deer, and the Longhorn cattle, they're neat. They're like, oh gosh, they look mean, they look wild because they got those big horns. You can pet and feed every one of our cattle down there.
Wow.
And so it's an animal that they never lose their teeth. Their horns grow until they die. They got lean meat. They're just a unique animal. You never have to pull calves. Doesn't matter how big a bull you breed them to, you never have to pull a calf. They're a neat animal. They're interesting. They lay on the top hill when it's hot outside. They don't get in a pond and like a regular cow does. So there's some unique things about them. They're just fun to raise. We've done it for 48 years.
Well, it's great that you're carrying on the tradition too,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Because we'd hate to lose something like that. I mean, and I didn't until you just started talking about it, I started thinking about the own things that are happening in my life as far as, like that tradition. My son Colin has started, working out to the Cleveland farm, and pretty regular, and is going to take that on, which I'm super proud of him for.
Right.
It's something I didn't, no interest for me in really doing that. And he just put his first calves on the ground the other day, and to see him light up, and say, "Hey, Dad, we got calves on the ground." It's the first time there's been calves on the ground here, and I can't remember how many years he told me, but to see him light up like that, and at that moment, I thought, well done, son. You're carrying this tradition on, for the family, and that's pretty amazing.
You've got to want to do it. My son, he didn't want to do the auction part. He wanted to do the hunting part, but didn't want to do the auction part. He's not a person that wants to be in front of everybody and do things like that. He helps. Mm-hmm. He does help at the Longhorn sale. Without him and the family, we couldn't make it work. But you got to want to do it. I wanted to do it. Jeff didn't want to do it. Jeff worked for us. He was probably the best ringman we had, but he just didn't want to do that. He wanted to do the back end of it, and take care of everything. But it's just something, if you want to do it and do it right. Just don't do it half-assed, because it's not going to get you anywhere in life if you just do it half-assed, because it's a business. Yeah. It's a fun business. And the cattle part of it for us it's amazing, because I can look out in the field and see all the cattle out there and see the people driving by. The kids want to stop and they want to pet them. Like, well, let's don't pet them, because they're they go swat a fly and they can reach you from here to the wall to swat a fly because their horns are so big. But it's been a fun ride with the Longhorn business. It's interesting. The people you meet. We travel all over the United States to do sales and things like that, and then people come to our place to do the sales. We bring the business to Brookfield. Mm-hmm. The motels are full. The restaurants are full. We have our party at the Helm Street. It's things like that Dad has done, in the past for Brookfield, because we used to have it here, and it's just been Longhorn part of it's very fun.
Yeah. How long have you and Bernie been doing that together?
2 years.
So, little backstory. It's kind of funny because they'll come in here, and there's always like a hidden competition, I think, going on where Bernie's trying to make a new hat that Shawn doesn't have, and Shawn's getting hats that Bernie doesn't have, and neither one of them they don't want me to let the other one see them yet. Until they're done.
Yeah,
It's a fun.
The sticker thing was the biggest part, the biggest crack that I don't know if you made those for him. Yeah. Yeah, Bernie, he helps. As a matter of fact, he takes care of the Longhorn sale now in the back. He runs the back part of it, but he's always loved them. He's a funny dude. He's a great guy. But yeah, we've been doing it about 2 years now. It's fun.
He had a maybe not so flattering picture of Shawn that we turned into stickers, and I don't know where all he put them, but
Puts them everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
Well, you got a cast of characters.
I mean, I'm telling you.
You do. You have a cast. It's,
You know, he'll
it's some
stick-
of the best people, man.
He'll stick it on the ceiling or somewhere. He'll put it on a suitcase. We're traveling or something, and I don't know how many he made, but he made several hundred of them. And I thought I'll get even one of these days. But you know, it's just like that. We travel with them, they travel with us, and we have a good time. And it's like Kenny Holland. He's partnered with me on a cow. Oh, Kenny, he works for us, and he's a great guy to have in your harem. He's a character. He keeps things exciting, you know. But it's still a family deal.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I keep going back to, because it's just fun to work with the people I do. You know.
Well, and Shawn, I think Shawn's got the only female bouncer in state in the county at his sales. From Linda
Yeah.
Forbes.
Oh.
She keeping stuff in line, buddy.
Yeah, she's
Keep them in line.
Shout out to Linda.
She's been with us for a long time. Her husband Roy worked for Dad back when he was in the 8th grade, and yeah, they've been part of the family too. You know, she's family, and she's
Great family.
Yeah, she's a dandy. I love Linda. Who doesn't?
I
Right?
don't know
doesn't?
anybody
You
who
know,
doesn't.
you know.
I mean, at times, all of
You
us,
don't-
maybe.
If you don't, you don't know her.
Yeah,
You know.
she unintentionally helped me get started DJing because, you know, I started DJing before I was 21, and she let me come in and DJ at the bar. And then when I turned 21, finally got a drink there. And when I started, I wasn't making the best decisions, and I would just drink while I did it until I was in oblivion. And she would wake me up. I would pass out, and she'd wake me up till I could do last call for the bar. And she probably let me in there more than she should have.
Yeah, when I owned the bar and they worked for me there, when we first started Shawn's place down there, when I wasn't there, I knew I could trust everything because it was run by Roy and Linda, and then they bought it off of us, and it continued. But yeah, they're just great
I just
people.
want to say that Shawn's place in general was probably one of the best bars I've ever been to. I mean, as far as life memories I had there.
It was fun. It was an interesting place because we had DJs, we had comedians, you know, we mixed it up a little bit, you know, but we had something every weekend, and it was fun. You know, do I wish I still had it? Yeah, my wife doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, and but it was fun. It was a great business.
Was it?
was a blast.
Was it that had Did you have JJ Walker that time?
Yeah,
Oh
sure
my
did.
gosh. I wish we had video of a certain person I know that tried to heckle him at the time when he was up there doing his comedic. It was the funniest thing. We all know him, but I'm not going to bring him up.
We had some good times.
Yeah.
Well, it got to a point too where there was the tattoo place was next door,
Oh boy.
and I mean, I know there were just a lot of crazy stories from that place. And
I
good
could tell you
times.
stories upon stories, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun place down there. It was a blast. I enjoyed it.
It kind of makes me think of this next question as far as crazy times. Like, what's the craziest thing you've ever sold at an auction?
Flying squirrel.
Blind squirrel.
And squirrel.
Didn't see that coming.
No. That's
Exotic
interesting.
selling, making at Lolly's. We sold squirrels. We sold cockroaches. We sold. There isn't anything that I don't think I've ever sold. You know, it was just sold baboons over there. You know, when we first started doing that sale over there, we've sold hippos, camels, ostrich. You know, and as far as our sale, you know, everything's unique at our sale because you see something that people don't know. You know, we sold some shackles at a sale for Lydorf over here, and it was prison shackles. And it's a true deal. I mean, they were the legit thing. It was a shackle with cuffs on both sides and a ball in the middle and had the key. And of course, Dad bought it.
Yeah.
You know, because he collects that kind of stuff, but nobody knew what it was. Dad did. You know, but as far as craziness, you see crazy stuff all the time. You know, you see stuff that I don't know what it is. So, and there's been one or two times that Dad didn't know what it was.
Wow, that's
You know, and that's hard to believe.
Yeah, it
but
is.
you got that great Google machine that you can look it up and find out what it is or what it was. You know, and things like that. But you know, it's you see some neat stuff, some interesting stuff. And that's what makes it fun about it because you're like, God, look at that. man, that's cool. You know, but
You know, I don't collect old bills or silver. That's not my gig. I'm not into it at all, but I do enjoy watching your dad work that old money.
he enjoys it.
Man, he just,
He knows it. He know that's the difference about it is he knows what it's worth and what it's what it is.
thousands of them out there on a table.
Yeah.
And he knows. And these people in the audience know. And that's one of the things that gets crazy sometimes that I've seen at these auctions is when you guys have a lot of coins. I've seen some stuff. Well, some of those ones that sold when we sold some of Floyd's stuff that day, I was sitting in the back of the room with my jaw on the floor like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
These are going for big dollars.
Yeah, coins are a good item to sell. You know, there's a lot of collectors around here, but they're gonna quit making pennies because it takes 3 cents to make a penny. You know, and there's a lot of coins out there you see online and people that have do you have this nickel? Do you have this 1 penny? Do you have this silver dollar? We sold a nickel at a sale one time. A guy got in a slot machine in Las Vegas, and it pulled it and it came out and it was real shiny, and it was a nickel, and it brought $2,400 at our auction here in town, here in Brookfield. He moved back to Brookfield, and he got that coin from Vegas in a slot machine, and it was worth $2,400-$500.
Wow.
It's just now that's the interesting part about it, Nathan, is you see stuff like that. Where'd that come from? There's a story behind it, and you're like, come on, because I remember stuff that happened years ago. I may not know what happened yesterday, but I can remember stuff and tell you stories. And Dad's the same way. You remember this stuff and like, how do you know this? How do you, is he lying? What, and I'm like, I know. And my wife's the same way. She goes, how do you remember that? I'm like, I don't know. I can't answer that question. But she tells me something and I forget it. And she goes, why can't you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I got the selective hearing or what, but it just didn't.
Right.
It didn't attract to me that, hey, that's something I need to remember. I can remember what I did when I was a kid roping or sales. When a sale's over, I can tell you what his buyer's number was and what your buyer's number was. I may not know your name, but I'll know your buyer number.
Wow.
People say, hey, who? I said, well, that was buyer 212 that bought that. How do you know? I mean, I don't. It's just something that I remember, and Shane Head's the world's worst about me is, how do you remember that? How do you know? You don't. I said, well, I don't know, bud. It's just something that I remember, and it's kind of funny because you sit there and you sit at the Elks and having drinks, and Dad starts talking about these stories, and he says, you remember that? Well, kind of, Dad. And then I'll do the same thing. Well, how do you know? And it's funny, and it in a way you're like, God, this kid's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and sometimes I don't, but a lot of times I do.
Yeah.
So
You mentioned him. I want to bring it up. If I'm ever at an event and you're auctioning and Shane is there, like it's going to be a good time.
oh yeah. Oh boy,
You
Shane.
need the head boys.
Shane and I go way, way, way back. We're good buddies, have been for years, grew up together. But back in the day when we'd have a benefit here or something, Shane worked the ring for me, and we made it fun. And you've got to make it fun when you're in a situation like that. You've got to make it fun. And Shane traveled with us all over. We'd go to Nebraska and do sales out there, and Shane would go with us. And yeah, he's just a good friend, and we've had a lot of fun together. Yeah, he makes it fun.
Well, it's almost like you get that friendship where nothing's off limits. I mean,
No.
you'll say anything to him, and the crowd will just be rolling laughing.
Well, yeah, and they don't they don't care. They do, but I can get away with it to some people where some people couldn't, and it's fun. You got to make it fun.
Right.
It's you can't be serious. Some of those auctioneers back in the day were serious, and they was crude, and they were rude, and they didn't care. It's my way or the highway. But here we are in the 21st century, and you've got to make it fun and not piss people off, because they'll come back to haunt you. That's the auctioneer that pisses people off. I don't want to be that person. Could be, but don't want to be. You can't make people mad because you mow lawns, and you don't make them mad because you're gonna lose their business. And that's something with us is, we got to keep stern and be respectful, because we want to have somebody's auction down the road because it's going to happen, and it's just like coming in here to buy something. You don't want to overprice it because they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
Look at me. How many dozen hats have I bought? And because you give me good deals and you make good product. You do all of our signs for everything. And so that's the thing is we got to be respectful to people in our community because it will come back and bite you in the butt.
That's what's so important is like you only get so many opportunities to make an impact with someone,
Right.
so many interactions, and if you ruin it over one small thing, you might lose tons of business, or not only from that person, but in today's world, you never know how that's going to spread and what they're going to say and where they're going to say that and post it.
Well, we live in a small community, guys, and you know this. You can't be disrespectful because it's going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
Or they're going to say something bad about you. They're going to say something good about you. You want those good things, but you just got to be you, but you got to watch your P's and Q's.
Because it was word of mouth advertising is the
Absolutely.
greatest form.
Absolutely. Now you got social media, which it's kind of blowing things up and tearing things up and doing things, but it's a good tool if it's used right. And just like word of mouth, I would just soon Ian say, "Hey man, they did a great job at that auction. You need to talk to them if you want to have an auction." Or you say, "Well, I don't disagree on what they did," and it'll happen. But then you take it and you make it right and you go on. It's just one of those things that not everybody's perfect. Right. You try to be, but there's not a perfect person in this world.
No. I think the tide has changed with the auction game. Be honest with you, I mean, out here with these estate auctions and real estate auctions, I mean, it seemed to me, and this could just been my perspective, but it seemed to me let's say in the 90s, and when I was younger, that it seemed like if somebody was doing an auction, something had went wrong in order to do that. Today, it seems like, hey, let's check out that option. And I hadn't thought about the fact that you shared right off the bat was it's a one and done. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't have to worry about, getting rid of all this furniture, getting rid of all this stuff, and the real estate, and the land, and the tractors. With Sayre Auction, we can do this all on one day.
And we try to make it easy for the family too. We go in, we box everything up, we get everything ready. We don't want to put a burden on the family because it's hard enough selling the family farm, the family stuff, and we try to make it as easy as possible because we go in, we box it up, we get it ready, we set trash out, we take clothes, send it bill 40, things like that. We want to make it as easy as possible for that family that's having the auction, because they're having the auction because either they're moving or something's happened to a family member, and you want it to make it easy as possible for them, and that's what we try to do, and they kind of trust us because we're a family business, and we try to treat everybody like a family, like we want to be treated, and that's the key to our auctions.
No, I don't think they kind of trust you. I think they trust you in this area. Well, you're trusted,
and we appreciate that because we've done it for a long time, and Dad was the ringleader of everything, and we try to learn and do what he did, and it's worked. We've been pretty successful, and
And saying that, like, have you thought about like 20 years from now? What do you think the legacy of Sayre Auction will be? Like,
still be going if I'm alive.
Yeah.
Because Lucas didn't want to do it. I have a granddaughter, and I am going to teach her how to auction, and hopefully she will take on the Sayre legacy in the auction. Mm-hmm. So we hope that happens, but if not, we'll still keep going. As long as I'm capable and able to do it, we'll keep doing it. In 20 years, I'll be, old. Yeah, thanks, Ian. But older. But yeah, we'll keep doing it, and hopefully the granddaughter wants to do it. If not, then it'll be a legacy that's been here for several years. Mm-hmm. And that's something that makes me proud. That we've been able to do what we've done. Over the years, people have trusted us for things like that.
Lucas is a great kid.
He's ornery.
He's a great kid. I tell you what, I don't get to see Lucas near as much as I did when he was a younger man, but there's one place I can guarantee that I'm going to see Lucas Sayre. And when I go down to Grand Pass Conservation Area to go duck hunting, and I know where to look towards the ceiling. Lucas is going to be the tallest guy in the
How
room.
tall is he?
6'8".
And when you're in there and it's packed wall to wall, you know, there's 125, 130 people in there drawing to hunt, you know. And Lucas is that much above he's a foot above everybody in the room.
Yeah, and
He's always got something great to say.
That's a sad. Oh, he'll talk, and that's the thing. He'll talk your leg off, but he didn't want to be an auctioneer. You know, he'd love this. He'd come here and talk about stuff. But if you wanted Lucas to do something, say, "Hey, we're gonna go hunting," he's all in. But if it come to work, how long is it gonna take? What do I got to do? What am I gonna get paid? I'm like, I just need your help, just for an hour or two. But he'll be up. He lives in Warrensburg. He'll be up at 3 o'clock in the morning driving to Grand Pass to draw at 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever it is, hunt, and then go back and go to work. But you think I can get him to do that for an auction? Heck no. No, Dad. I'm not gonna. I can't make it. I don't have a babysitter. I can't make it. I'm like, now if it was hunting, it'd be a different story, which is fine. You know, he's got his own, but. Yeah, so yeah, he's doing good. You know, he's got a little daughter now, and keeps him busy, and he's getting his payback. I hope, because Elsie she goes and she's but she will be the next auctioneer.
She's a cutie.
Yeah,
I've seen your pictures
dandy.
online.
She's a dandy. So hopefully I'll get her underneath my wing and go with it, because there again she would be the only lady auctioneer in the area, and. So that would be pretty neat too, you know, get her to do that. You know,
Lucas has got that Sayre competitive part about him, though.
Oh,
when it
absolutely.
comes to hunting,
oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, he's
You
a
guys are
competitor.
competitors. You guys,
He's a competitor. But he loves to hunt. Goodness gracious.
and if I'm not mistaken, he could play a little golf. He just doesn't get out there play a lot. He's kind of like me.
He can hit the ball a long ways. He plays with us now. Dad stepped down in the Pepsi tournament, and he plays with us, and he hits the ball a long way. He works too much and doesn't have enough time to play, but he can hit a golf ball. Yeah.
That's good stuff. So when people want to find Sayre Auction, what's the best way? It says SayreAuction.com?
Yes.
SayreAuction.com, or just call you directly?
Call me. I got my phone on me 24/7, 365.
Yeah,
It never shuts off. Call me at night. Call me in the morning. We just got a new website built.
You did?
The other day. Yeah.
Good.
So we still run our auction stuff through Jason, but Hired Hand, the company we use for our Longhorn online auction, has built us a new website. So you can if you want to go on there and look, you can see all of our cattle. You can see everything we've got at the house. You can see our auctions and things like that. But just reach out to me or Allison.
Yeah.
We're not hard to get a hold of. Our number's everywhere. You know, you see Kenny Holland, he's a walking billboard, you know, but that's, it's our SayreAuction.com.
Because I was going through stuff too, like for the BNC. Did you guys have like a catalog that you sent out of?
We have a catalog we send out, and then we have a catalog online. So all of that is on our website. So you can punch Longhorns, and it'll bring up our catalog, and it'll bring up everything that way. And then we mail out probably 250 catalogs to buyers that are interested in coming to the sale, but most of it here again we're talking about online. And Hired Hand is a great company to work for, because that's all they do is Longhorns. Hired Hand Live, and they do only Longhorns.
Huh.
But we've had them do 2 machinery sales. The one when we sold Floyd stuff, and they do come and do our machinery sales too. So now all the Longhorn people can see what we're selling, and vice versa. But you can go on. It's just brand new. We just got it online just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's got pictures of our big steer and our bulls and stuff. So it's kind of neat to see. But
I was on there this morning, 6 a.m. I was on.
yeah,
the
it's
website.
it's neat. They do great work, you know. But
So is it gonna? I'm not sure. Maybe this is something that you already have. I know you take phone bidders at your live auctions.
Mm-hmm.
Will this coincide with a live auction at all?
it will. Yeah, we can do Hired Hand live as far as a live auction. There, we don't really have them come to the auction, But we can do it. We can do a live video if we wanted to on certain items, But it's a product that we're getting pretty noted in the Longhorn industry as far as buying and selling cattle. So it's just something we had to do because a lot of those breeders won't go to Sayre Auction, but they'll go to our website.
Now, do you jump it back a little bit? What do you? Now, I don't know if you still do this or not, but I'm kind of interested in it. Do you still do the whitetail stuff?
No,
You don't do that at all anymore?
no, I'm out.
I can't believe that when you asked what the craziest thing you sold was, we didn't hear whitetail semen.
Well, I mean, whitetail was a big thing. I did a lot of sales. I sold deer for $500,000. I sold semen for $22,000 a straw. But no, the whitetails, I used to raise them, used to sell them, but no, I just don't have any interest anymore in the business.
Yeah.
It got too political, and I just nah.
That's what I hear online too. Same thing with the breeders and the raisers.
Well, there's
people
none.
that were raising them out there.
There's
a
none
lot of them
anymore.
that have jumped out of it.
There's none anymore in the state of Missouri. There's a guy in Jamesport that still raises deer, and a guy in Springfield. But other than that, they're very few between. It's just not. It's another political deal that's taken off. But no, I just not interested in them anymore. Just don't do them anymore because I'm so busy and focused on my Longhorn and my auctions at home, to do that, to mess with the deer, because you got to travel so far, and the regulations you had to do with the conservation and everything was just a pain in the butt. So Alice and I, we bottle fed babies, and it was a process, and we just, we can watch those mama cows out there raise the babies on their own, and you don't have to worry about that stuff. We can sleep easier. When we go on vacation, Dad and Bernie and Kenny take care of our cows and our dogs for us, and that's the great thing about it is they're self-contained there at the house, and you don't have to worry about them. Dad and CJ go by and feed our dogs twice a day. So Alice and we're on a trip, and it's neat that we have people to take care of that stuff for us. Our kids are grown, and if we want to go somewhere, we're going to go. That's the great thing about it is we have that opportunity to do that. Yeah. So
What do one thing that I really can't even think about the name Shawn Sayre without thinking about a group of friends that you've had for years and years, just great people that you run with. How those guys influenced you?
got a bunch. There's 6 of us that go on vacations every year together. Now there's 10 of us that go. That we've done something every year. We went somewhere every year. Cousin Jody and Shane and people like that, OJ and Lois and Mike and Abby, they go. We on a trip somewhere every year, to get away and have fun and enjoy it. But yeah, my friends have influenced me a lot. Shane and I growing up together. He's helped me. I've helped him. He designed my feed for my deer and my cattle. Cousin Jody, he moved back, and we do a lot together now. He's a big hunter, and I'm not. We play golf a lot together. We go on trips together and things like that. We go to the lake, and it's just we are fortunate to have friends like that to do things with. And that's what means a lot to us is, hey, what are you doing tonight? You want to go eat steaks, or you want to do this? Let's do something, because we're not the type of people like to sit at home. We like to go out and do things, because Dad says, why do I want to sit at home when I can be out doing things? He's 81 years old, and he's got a 2-acre garden, and it keeps him going, because when you quit, you quit. It's just one of those things. You got to stay active, and that's what we do. We enjoy that. We got great friends to do that with, and it's fun. We enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, you do. You have some great friends. There's some great people that you run with that are just amazing contributors to our community.
Yeah.
That are morally sound people, and they're just good folks.
We enjoy
good folks.
But we live in a good community. That's the key. Is we live in a community that supports everything that we do.
Yep.
Your business, your gym, your lawn mowing service, the things you do for this city, the things that we do. We can't focus everything on what Sayre Auction does. It's what the community does for the community. And that's the thing is, it's not all about what I can do. It's what the community does for what we need done.
Yeah.
and that's the focus of everything that we do. You know, we got a new city manager. We've got some new things. We got a new business coming in up here. You know, and everybody supports the community. You know, that shop local thing, that was a big key, and it does here. You know, we don't have the big factories, we don't have the big stores, but we got things that make the community work, and they're all family owned and ran in this community. You know, so that means a lot to me and my family, because, you know, we know we're supporting our community.
Well, when we grew up I'll argue with anybody. The 80s, early 90s, when we were running around here as young men, kids, we were really living, I felt like at the time, we were living, you know, looking back for the last couple of years, you know, last 10 years, I was like, man, I really grew up in the peak of this place.
Sure.
And you know what? I think maybe we're looking at a new peak coming.
You know, we was fortunate, Ian, to grow up in this area, because it was a community that, hey, I know your parents.
Oh, everybody had permission.
You know,
everybody had permission.
You know, so you couldn't do anything wrong, because you knew it'd get back to mom or dad before you got home. You know, you get a SWAT in school. When you got home, you got a SWAT. You know, they don't SWAT kids anymore in school because they can't. Right. You know, but back when I got a couple SWATs from Bill Littrell and Larry Howard. But when you got home, mom was going to SWAT you too. You wanted mom to SWAT you before dad got home to SWAT you. You know, but that's just the way we grew up. Yeah. You know, you got disciplined in school. You got swatted, you know, and it was just, you couldn't do anything out of the ordinary, or everybody else knew it before you got home. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the great thing about growing up this community, is everybody knows you, you know.
Talking about swatting, you know, and the worst part about it is, looking back now, you know, Gary Ewing, Gary Haig, you know, Larry Howard, you know, a few of these people that I did get SWATs from. I'm not, that's not all of them, but, you know, because Shawn and I probably have shared the same problem in life a time or two, with our mouths getting us in a little bit of trouble.
The only difference between me and you is I got a license to run mine.
There you go. But, you know, looking back at those, you know, I don't regret one of them.
No.
I had them coming. And
Absolutely.
The worst part about it is they'd pick up that phone, I remember, and they would call home and say, hey, I'm getting ready to SWAT your kid. And you're like, oh, man, you just sealed my fate. Thank you.
A lot of times they wouldn't even call. They just do it, you know. But that's a great thing, you know, going through high school here, in high school and junior high. And, you know, the teachers were great people, you know. And like you said, you couldn't get away with anything, because it was going to go back to the homestead. And that was it was fun, because I enjoyed every minute of it. Still do, you know, still do.
One of my best friends grew up in St. Catherine. What was growing up in St. Catherine like, Shawn?
It was fun. It was, you know, I rode my motorcycle from the house to the country club, all around the gravel roads, and didn't have to worry about getting in any trouble, you know. And I stayed on the road, didn't get anybody's fields unless I knew them. You know, but St. Catherine was a fun, you know, they think, what's St. Catherine? Where's St. Catherine? It had a post office, you know. It had a horse arena. It had a community center. I mean, it was a town. And, you know, we lived a little bit outside of St. Catherine, but it was fun. I mean, you knew everybody, you know, all the farming kids, we'd get together and ride our motorcycles or our horses, and it was fun. You know, that's what makes you think about where you grew up at. You know, we was in the suburbs. We wasn't in the city, you know, and St. Catherine was a suburb of Brookfield. You know, it's kind of like Laclede and Linneus, you know. It was a neat thing, you know, so it was fun.
That's wild. Think about St. Catherine, and it's just changed, you know, like.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of weird, because I feel like a lot of times when I enter the zip code, it pops up to St. Catherine instead of here, like online.
And at one time it had its own zip code.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was 64658, and this is 64628. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had its own zip code. Sure did.
I believe that the east side of the country club is a St. Catherine address.
Yep.
I don't know if the west is or not.
The
east for sure.
The east is a St. Catherine address. You know, people are like, St. Catherine, where's St. Catherine at? I don't know St. Catherine. So when you go on a trip and you see somebody, where are you from? I'm from Kansas City. that's the easiest thing to say. I live around Kansas City. I'm 120 miles from Kansas City. Because you say St. Catherine or Brookfield, they're like, where's that? And then some people may say, hey, I know where that's at. Do you know such and such? And it's a small world we live in, because there's not a place that we go that we don't see somebody that we've known in the past, or seen somebody. That's the ironic part about where we live.
It's amazing when I go places, and I'm trying to meet people and learn where they're from, and I bring up, I don't say Laclede very often.
Right.
I start with Brookfield, or I'm close to Chillicothe, and they're connected somehow. They know somebody. They went to school with somebody. They've been through here. They went hunting here. It is a small world.
It is. You grew up in a suburb of Brookfield and Laclede, and it is. Where Macon and Chillicothe is. Yeah. Well, we're between those two on Highway 36.
Mm-hmm.
We're 90 miles from the Iowa line. It's just, but we're in a rural community.
Yeah.
Are we rednecks? Some of us are, because where we lived. We was in the suburbs. We weren't in the city. It's funny, but it's true. We drove trucks, we rode horses. We didn't. There were city folk and there was country folk, and we just happened to be those country folk that we'd go out in our pasture and walk out the door and shoot something, and if you wanted to pee off the back porch, and didn't have to worry about anything. Didn't have no care in the world. Jeff would take off hunting in the morning, come back at night, and have 2 or 3 rabbits or squirrels or whatever, and Mom didn't worry about him because she knew he'd be back after a while, and you'd hop on your bike and ride it in town and go to the city swimming pool or something. That's what you did. You got on your bike because you didn't get transportation. Your older brother or sister wouldn't take you anywhere, so you had to get on your bike and go. Mm-hmm. I grew up, he's older than I am, so I had to wait, and he wouldn't take me to school. Him and the Stauffer boys, they wouldn't take me to school. I had to ride the school bus. But when I turned 16, it was look out. I got a car and I'm driving, and kids today, it's different.
Yeah, very different.
A lot different,
Now, we looked up to you guys, man.
We appreciate that, and we're proud. We're proud to say that we have done what we've done, for everything in our community and for our family and for everybody else. But it has been a pleasure to do what we do,
For sure.
What's the future? So your plans? You're just going to run this. Shawn's going to run this thing out until Shawn can't run this thing out no more.
Yes, sir.
That's what you're planning.
Yes, sir.
I figured Shawn might just jump off and just shine his golf clubs up, and one day play golf every day.
No, I'm kind of like Dad. I want to stay busy. I want to do things. I've got another job. I work for KMZ Radio as an outside salesman. So I do that as a job, and then I've got the auction business because it's mainly on the weekends and stuff. But no, my wife and I, we'll keep doing, because like I said earlier, we like to travel, we like to have fun, and we've got to be able to pay for that.
There.
And she works at Stanberry Uniforms, and she has a job. She sells real estate, and we do several jobs to be able to do what we can do to go on trips. We'll go on trips, and we got 2 planned this year, so we've got to stay busy to do something to pay for those trips. And that's the thing about it, is we work and we play.
How's the golf game?
It's fair.
Is it fair?
It's not as good as it used to be, but I'm a lot older. Don't hit the ball as far as I used to, but I still like to have a good time, drink some beverages, and ride around with my buddies. I get to play with Dad, and my friends and family. So that's all that matters to me. Whether I play. I used to play good back in the day. I won the club championship one year, and I've done what I've done. But right now, it's all about the fun and enjoying it. Enjoying what we do on the golf course, and get to spend time with your friends. That's the main thing.
Shawn's a leader out there in the pro shop too, because his voice carries really, really well.
Well, it just seems like they want everybody's attention. They want me to whistle or holler, So that's and I do, but it is. I got a loud mouth and I do talk, but like I said, I got a license that my wife absolutely hates that. But I got to pay for that license. It's not free, But
Shawn likes you to pay attention when it's time to listen to the rules of the
you got
the deal, and
you got to pay attention, because 30 minutes later they say, "Hey, what did you say?" Well, you didn't pay attention. It's just kind of like in the classroom. If you pay attention, you don't have to ask those questions later.
And then you let them know they didn't pay attention.
Absolutely, I do.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely, I'm not gonna be that shy person that that doesn't. I like the mic. I like to talk.
Yeah.
But that's just me. It's I've had fun doing it, and I'm still gonna have fun doing it.
It's kind of interesting you bring that up. Like, I always tell people, like, me just out and about versus when I grab a microphone is almost like two different people. I don't know, like, you grab that mic and there's like something comes over you.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know what I'm talking about, but you.
Yeah, and you've had a great success in what you've done. Like I said, you've done it for years. I think you've done both my weddings. You've done a lot of events for people around here. The time that you take, the places you travel, and it's fortunate that we have you to do that. Stevie Haig done it in the years, prior to you. He was good at it, what he did, and then he got a little older and he got a family and stuff, and then you picked it up and took it on. You ran it. And you got a business and a family, and that's where I'm coming back just to the small community for what you do for the community. It's important that there's people like that can do that. Yeah. It's kind of like us for an auction, for a benefit. It's kind of nice that we have somebody that can do that in our community.
Yeah, for sure.
To help out, because I can auction, you can DJ, Ian can do his job, and it's the community we live in that makes it worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, and I always try to tell people, like, no matter what your thing is, go do that for your community. Don't be so focused on what we don't have or this or that, because if you go do what you're meant to do, whatever you are wanting for the community, someone else may see you doing your thing, and then that may be just what you want.
Don't focus on yourself. Don't make it about me and my company. Make it about everybody, because you're helping everybody. When you DJ, you're DJing for that family and that family event. When you're mowing yards, you're mowing for that family and not that family. When I do an auction, I'm either doing it for the family or for an organization that needs my help to do what needs to be done. And that means a lot, because we don't focus on Shawn, Sayre Auction. We focus on everything that we do for whoever we do it for. And that to me is the most important thing there is.
I think you've made it real clear. And the thing that keeps bouncing inside my head that you said early on in this podcast was that as long as I'm here, there's not a lot of no in Shawn Sayre. And I think that is what, and I think that, resonates to everybody around you, and in the community as well, is you just can't say no. You got to give it a try. You got to be willing to say yes, or we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and we don't want to do that. I hate our Longhorn sales the last Saturday in October, just for the simple fact that the sale barn we have it at couldn't have it any earlier, and I'm missing the Goose Festival. I usually sell the pecan pie or the gooseberry pies down there, and I can't do it this year. And I hate it that I can't, because I've done it for so many years. But that's when you hate to say no to anybody, and we will not say no to anybody. If we can do it, we're going to do it. If we're available, yes, we will do it. If we have a sale that day and there's something going on that night, I've done that several times. With the Lady Elks, the YMCA, auctions like that. If there's something going on, we will make it work and we'll do it. And they say, well, how do you do it? It's all about the breathing. Again, I'll tell you, in auctioneering, they teach you how to breathe. If you breathe right, you can talk all day long and auction all day long. And, and it's...
As far as the voice goes?
As far as the voice goes.
The breathing is what saves your voice?
Yep. It's how to breathe properly in through your nose, out through your mouth, and that's just how I do it for so long.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to ask that question.
Allergies.
How do you take care of your voice?
Allergies. I started taking allergies. Last year, I couldn't auction for 2 sales. I couldn't talk. My allergies were so bad. Couldn't talk. My wife enjoyed it, but I couldn't talk. So Dad come out of retirement and helped me, and I got a buddy that works for me, Danny Jeffries. He comes down and helps me, but I literally could not talk. First time in 47 years, but the allergies were so bad. So then we got to the doctor and got the allergy shots. So I take them once a week, and that's helped out a bunch. But, that's the only time that I can remember. And I have auctioned sick before.
I've seen you auction sick.
Not have a voice, but it's all about the breathing and the way you take care of yourself. And the key is to, and I don't put up with smoking. No smoking in my sales. I don't put up with any of that because that kills me. That's the worst thing in the world is the smoke because I can't, and the dust. But it's all about the breathing, So that's what keeps us going.
Yeah.
Keeps me going at an auction.
And a few good beverages help.
Yeah, they do at an event like that. But as far as an auction, it hurts me more than it helps me when I do an estate sale. I don't want to do it because it dries your throat out more than you think. I sip on a little bit of water whenever I auction at the regular sales. But when we do functions like that, I told that to the Y director one year. I said, hey, you want to make this thing better? Let's throw a bar in here and help it out. And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious.
People spend more money.
And they did. They did it. We used to have it at the Elks, and they had it out there, and then they have somebody come in and do it. And it's. I'm not saying alcohol's the greatest thing, but it makes people feel like they can relax and enjoy it, and then I can make fun of them, get away with it.
Yep.
Or not necessarily make fun of them, but pick on them a little more.
Helps the comedy.
Yeah, it keeps it exciting.
Shawn's always, I've noticed when he's auctioning, he's always big on thanking somebody when they quit bidding. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you got to thank them. I mean, because they're the one that put you that dollar amount anyway, You got to thank everybody. You got to be nice. You can't be an ass.
Yeah.
Can be, but it's not.
It's
not good for
Not
you.
going to help you.
It's not good for you.
Yeah, I could just, when we were talking about this, Nathan and I was talking about this the other day. I was like, I started thinking about, the auctions I'd been to, and I was like, he's got a routine he sticks to. He's got her down better than anybody.
Yeah.
Been doing it a long time.
Seems like it, huh?
Long time. Yeah.
Quick, long time though.
Yeah. It has went by fast. I started when I was 15, and wasn't even supposed to be at the auction school. I was supposed to be 16 to be there, but Dad knew the instructor, so I got in. Spent 2 weeks at 15 years old at the Americana Hotel in 12th Street in Kansas City, and that was an experience. That was a fun experience. You're 15 years old, and it was fun. I'll say it was fun.
There's an auctioneering school still in Missouri, correct?
Yes, Missouri Auctioneer School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one that you went through?
Yeah, I wanted to go to Billings, Montana, but I had to be 18 to go there. That's where Dad went, and I thought I'm not going to wait that long, so I went to Kansas City. Yeah.
Yeah, scenery would have been pretty nice in Billings, I imagine.
Yeah, well, the scenery's pretty nice in Kansas City. Americana Hotel, TWA airline stayed there.
Oh.
And the swimming pool's on the 6th floor where my room was, and so it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I
can imagine.
It was fun. Couldn't drive anywhere, couldn't go anywhere, but didn't have to.
Yeah.
They shuttled us back and forth to the stockyards down there where we had school, and it was interesting. It was the funnest 2 weeks at that age that a 15-year-old could ever have.
Yeah.
It was, and I had a roommate. My roommate was a 52-year-old superintendent school superintendent from New York. That was in the real estate business, and he wanted to get his auction license. Showed up 3 days late, so I had the room all to myself for 3 days. And it was an experience at a 15-year-old to do that. And I had the privilege to do that. Mom and Dad made sure that I could do it, and it's paid off. Like again, without the parents, I couldn't be where I'm at today. Nobody could be.
Yeah.
So Bill just took you up there, dropped you off, and said, I'll come back and get you when you got that.
Well, Dad worked on the railroad back then too, so he was there.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
Bill worked
he
on
was there every other day. So he was stationed in Kansas City. So he had a car down there. So he'd come over and pick me up when he was in town. So it wasn't like I was by myself at the school because Dad was there, and Dad was there whenever I took my final test. So that was kind of nice. Dad got to watch that. Out of 118 students, we had 8 women and people from all over the United States. And I graduated in the top of my class at 15. But I'd been doing it for 2 years. I just went there to get my license and my colonelship. And then, we knew what we was going to do because I was going to change my chant when I got out of there anyway. And so I just went down there to get my colonel degree. So. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Is there a lot of competition between the auction companies?
Well, there's
They're local.
Yeah, Yeah, there's
We have,
several.
We have several.
There's several. You know, it's not as bad as Ohio. Ohio's got them on every street corner down there, but we've got several companies that have been in the business a long time, and those kids are taking over because unfortunately their parents have passed away, and they've kept going on to do auctions. But yeah, there's a lot of competition, and it's good for us. You know, it's good for everybody. Needs some competition, you know, with what you do, because you know you want to try to give them the best deal, and it's worked. You know, we made it, and we all work together. You know, just like the real estate companies and everything, we all work together. You know, make it right. You know, so that's the great thing about, again, this community. So yeah, it's been fun.
I see all of them kind of finding their own little niche, though. You know, like some of them do antiques more than others. I mean, you guys do the estate sales.
We do.
Seem like
We do everything. We
hardcore
do.
on
You know,
those.
our tagline was, "If it's for sale, we sell it." You know, but we do cattle, estates, land, machinery, coins, guns. You know, there's not too much we don't do. We don't do as much online as a lot of these other businesses do, because it takes a lot of work to do that, and we just don't have the manpower to do that. But it's been a fun ride with what we have done and the way we've done it our way, compared to, you know, do I focus on how they do it or what they do? We do it the Sayre way, you know, and that's the way we've done it for years, and it's, knock on wood, it's worked.
Work.
How does somebody get stuff in one of your consignment auctions?
Just call me.
Just call.
Call me. We'll put her in. Anything. Yep. We're going to start having some sales out here this winter, out here at our auction place out there at the old Twin Oaks. We're going to start doing auctions out there regularly. So we're going to do that this winter. Furniture, coins, guns, and things like that. We're going to have a little lot set up out there. You know, our consignment sales November 1st out there. So
We gotta get that billboard going.
yes, we do. We got the bill for sure. Allison's been on my rear about that. We got to get the billboard going.
Has Lucas ever said anything about your sale being on opening duck weekend?
I don't ask Lucas.
Okay, I was just wondering because I always get there late because I'm duck hunting. We come flying in. I'm like, I hope it hasn't sold yet.
You know, Dad never asked me what day to have the sale or nothing. I said, well, Dad, I'm not going to be home. I'm in college. Well, I'm having a sale. Well, I got to come home. You know, so I ask one person if it's okay to have that sale. That's the person I'm working for. Well, I guess there's two: the person I'm working for and my wife.
Yeah.
You know,
enough.
so you gotta, you know, and anybody else, you know, especially Lucas. You know, I'm not gonna ask my son for permission to do anything. But I say, hey, we're gonna do this, and he goes, well, that's opening day. Well, go hunt a little bit and come to the sale. You know, so yeah, that's the great thing about our freedom as owning a company. We can set the dates and do as we want. You know, we don't have to. We're not set in stone, and we don't have to work around anybody else's schedule. It's our schedule. That's a great thing about that. So, yeah.
Well, we get to this point, and it's always say it with your chest time. So, this is just your opportunity, Shawn, to say anything that you just stand behind. It doesn't have to be auction related. It doesn't have to be community related. It could be anything. What is something that Shawn Sayre just backs 100%, and you would say that in a room of 1 million people or one person?
Family.
Yeah, that's been the message this whole show, is how important family is, and how you're raised, and how, you know, in those moments where you're probably not even paying attention, you're intertwining yourself in the community, and you're actually just benefiting the community by being the family that you are.
Yeah, family's everything. You know, without family, you just, you know, it's just been a blessing for me. You know, is family. You know, I still got my dad, brother, son, wife, you know, things like that. So it's all about family. You know, I can't. No one should argue about any of that. You know, without family, you don't have anything. You know, some families had troubles and stuff coming up and growing up. You know, split families and things like that. But it's still about family. You know, that's all there is in the community we live in. But mine is family. Without them, I wouldn't want to do what I'm doing. You know, and I couldn't do what I'm doing without family. Family and friends, the friends that we have that help us is what it is. You know, it's all about that.
Man, it's a powerful message. And even if you feel like you don't have a family, it's a good message to try to start building that.
Anybody can
Find
call
your
me.
people.
Anybody can call me anytime, and I'll be there. No matter if you're family, if you need something, if I can help you, I'll help you.
Yeah.
You know. Yep.
Well, and kind of, in my closing here, I just like to, because I know I probably never told you this, but I just like to personally thank you. I enjoy you. I've known you my whole life. I love your family. I think they're great people, but most of all, I love how your interaction is with other people. I've seen you at work for my whole life, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you in the community. Love what you do for our community, and hey man, thanks for
Appreciate
being
it.
a good person.
Thank
man. I
you.
love you.
Appreciate you too. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
sincerely, man. Thank you so much
bet.
for taking time out to do this.
You bet.
Thank you for all you do for the community. I know you got a big one coming up again next week. Is Pink out?
Yes, sir. Tuesday
Sev.
here in Brookfield.
Pink out on Tuesday,
Yep.
and man, you've done a ton of awesome things in the community, and I hope you know that.
I appreciate that, and thank you very much. Thank you for what you do, both of you. It means a lot. It's again, family's family. So
Ian, as always, thanks for coming on,
As always, Nathan.
being the co-host here with me.
Thank you.
We appreciate everyone that's tuning in and watching. If you have any needs in the auction world, make sure you go to SayreAuction.com, or they are on Facebook. You can check out the Longhorn stuff. I can attest to anytime I text Shawn, he replies very quickly.
just call Nathan. He's got my cell number.
Start with me, and I'll direct you there. But really, thank you guys.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Appreciate
That's it for us. Thank you.
That's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Come back next week. You don't know who we're going to have on this show. If there's somebody you'd like to see, you got to message me. Let me know about them.
That stuff matters. Oh yeah, it does. The little things, the big because. That stuff matters. That's the truth. We'll see you soon. Back in the booth.